Knows Best.
Hi, friends. Welcome back to Brenna Knows Best. I'm your host, Brenna Berg. Hi. How are you guys? Happy Monday. Today's episode is going to be a big catch up. Okay. I went back home to North Dakota. So if you don't like me or don't like hearing about my life, that's okay. You can just skip this episode and we'll meet back next week. Even though my episodes have become a lot of me just yapping around, today's episode is going to be hometown, family, relationships, a ton of different topics, basically just about my family, but about conversations I had with my family. And I think this actually would be a really good episode for anybody to listen to because I don't think my family situation is unique. Coming from divorced parents, I think a lot of us do come from divorce. Now, is every single scenario the same? No, every single family situation is different for every single person. When parents get divorced, the new relationships, family, I think the week was so good, but not without its issues. And I want to talk about that loosely again. Obviously, I don't want to air out all of my family tea and gossip just because my family didn't ask for that. But I want to be real with you guys because I think pretty much all of us deal with family issues within our own family or with our partners' families. And it's something that I think if you have a close friend, you talk to them about that, but regular old people that you meet and don't have a regular or like close relationship, we don't dive into it. And I think it's so important because sometimes I feel like my situation is so different and unique and nobody can relate, but I don't think that's the case at all. I think a lot of people can relate. And let's just catch up. First, books, you guys. I'm reading Ruth Ware, It Girl, or The It Girl, okay? And I only read on the plane. So I only read on my flight there and back. I think I'm about, it says 66% of the way through. I read last night. I'm loving it. This book has had me sucked in from the very beginning. The only reason I didn't read while I was home is because when I'm home, I like to spend every single second with my family. I only go home maybe twice a year and I'm very conscious. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'm very aware of where my time is going. And because I only go home so little, I like to make sure that I see my family with all of that time, especially LaDonna and Gordy. So the second I wake up, I went on a few walks, but I didn't even run. I just went over because I knew LaDonna and Gordy would be up. But anyways, we'll recap the whole week, but I wanted to do the book update really quickly. I'm loving this book. I can't wait to finish it. I hope I finish it today, which actually I think it's pretty long, so I won't. But this week, loving it. It's my first Ruth Ware book. And I know she wrote The Girl in the Cabin, or Cabin 10, something about a cabin and a girl, and I think there's the number 10 involved, and I think I want to read that next if it's available on Libby. LaDonna also sent me home with a few books, which some of them, like she sent me Seabiscuit, which is about that horse, and honestly, I might have read that a long time ago. She sent me a Jojo Myers, is it Jojo Myers book? It's not Me Before You, it's The Giver of the Stars. She had just finished reading it, so she got it for me. But that's my book update. My product of the week, which I'll dive into a little bit. If you're watching, you can see it. But if you are a listener, my little godson, who is 7 years old, made me a little piece of artwork, I think is what you would call this. It's this little square with a wood trim or wood border. And on the inside, you guys, it's the Brenna Knows Best logo. So it's pink. He painted it. He literally used a saw to cut the wood. Okay, so it's got this like wood outside. I'm trying to describe it, but honestly, I'm not doing a very good job. And then the letters, my cousin Lauren, his mom, obviously my cousin, she printed out the letters to make the words on a Cricut. She must have a Cricut machine. And she's always been super crafty and creative, but yeah, he made it for me. So fresh. It was kind of like a late birthday gift. My birthday's in May, but like I don't give a shit. And I think they might have sent me something as well. Now I don't remember. But okay, let's rewind. Okay, last week, I think not much happened the days leading up to me leaving. However, I went grocery shopping. Oh, I might have talked about this on last week's episode because I think this might have been the day that I went. I got all the groceries and things so Carter didn't have to go to the grocery store once. while I was gone. He was stuck. I did the laundry. He obviously had to do laundry, which is totally fine. He's a capable young man. Is a capable young man. And he did the sheets and he cleaned the whole apartment before I got back yesterday. Love him. Love that. And then Wednesday was a full day and I flew out at 5 p.m. Okay. Nope. That is so wrong. I flew out at 8 p.m. Okay. We headed to the airport at like 6 or 6:30 and I got into Bismarck at 10:30 and my father picked me up. So Barrett comes strolling on up to the airport. Okay. Bismarck has 2 gates. There's gate 1 and there's gate 2. And there's probably 10 flights that go in and out of that place a day. And so nobody's there. And I got my own seat. I had a seat to myself. So this is a smaller plane. There's only 2 seats on each side and there was nobody next to me. So I got to like spread out, which it felt awkward. I wanted to utilize the space so I didn't waste it, like having nobody next to me. But it's also like, okay, what do you do? Am I going to sit there crisscross applesauce? So I just tried to like put my legs into the aisle a little bit and I read the whole entire flight. And then my dad picked me up and then we stayed up until like midnight chit-chatting, me, him, and his girlfriend, because they were leaving the next day for our family reunion. So they went to South Dakota Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I only got really a little bit of time with them, which we'll get into. But we woke up Thursday morning and they were getting ready to leave. And then I was just going to go to LaDonna and Gordy's. So I woke up, had a cup of coffee, chit-chatted with them. And then when they were leaving at like 8, I went over to LaDonna and Gordy's house. And you guys, let me preface for the probably 100th time, LaDonna and Gordy are my dad's parents. However, LaDonna is technically my dad's stepmom. Not technically, she is. Okay. However, let me back this up. LaDonna and Gordy have been together since 88. My dad graduated high school in 88, but that's 36 years now. So as long as I've been alive, LaDonna has been in my life. So it's not one of those scenarios, she's been my grandma since day 1. Okay. And Gordy is obviously my dad's dad. And Gordy has 10 siblings. However, a few have passed, and that's who was meeting at the family reunion. But I told you guys, Gordy broke his hip, so they weren't able to go. But it ended up honestly being so okay, because obviously he was upset that he wasn't there with his siblings and everybody's families. But it was at Sylvan Lake in South Dakota, and Sylvan Lake is like this beautiful rock, like mountainous kind of hilly area. And Gordy would not have been able to get around. Well, he might have been able to, but it would have been such a bitch to get his walker and his oxygen. And honestly, we are all at peace with the fact that we didn't go. Of course, if we could have been there, if Gordy couldn't have broken his hip, duh. Okay. But all circumstances aside, once we talked to people after the family reunion, they were all saying like that would have been horrible. And actually one of his siblings had passed out and it was really hot and it was hard for a lot of people, I think, to get around. So that's kind of a downer, but it was okay. But anyways, Thursday I go to LaDonna and Gordy's house and we sit. Oh my gosh. No, we don't sit. I get there. Okay. And they tell me that they have a rabbit in the trap. And I said, what? And they said, yeah, he slept overnight in this trap. And I'm thinking like a trap, like a mouse trap where like it broke its leg. I'm like, you guys, that is not okay. Well, it was like a little cage. If you saw my Instagram story, it was a cage. So the thing props open like the front and you kind of hide it or whatever. I don't even know because they didn't even put any food in there or anything. So really that bunny was just dumb to go in there in the first place. But then it kind of had like a lever. So once the bunny got in, it pushes down on this lever and then it closes the trap. But LaDonna has been getting so pissed because the bunnies are eating her garden. Okay. To anybody that don't have grandparents that have gardens, this might not, resonate with you. My family, they all come from farms and gardens. And this is like everybody in my family gardens. Okay. That is not okay. They're eating all of the peas, all of this, all of that. But I get there. So they're like, we have this bunny in the trap. So LaDonna's like, let's go let this bunny out. So we drive down to Cottonwood, which is like this park where I used to play soccer. And it's super, like, there's water and there's trees. It's just like super naturey, okay? And me and LaDonna let this bunny go. But as we drive up to the parking lot, there's like a lot of people there. Like, there was a guy sitting over at the picnic table, and then there was like employees, like the landscape people. And we're like, is this okay that we're just dropping this bunny off? Like, is somebody going to say something to us? So I'm trying to find a place to like park so that way we can kind of be hidden and then we can let the bunny go. And LaDonna's like, I don't know how to open the trap. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So we get out, we grab the bunny. I figured out the lever system. So then I let the bunny go and it just hopped into the woods and there it goes. And then, okay, Carter called me in the morning that day while we were still at the house before we let the bunny go. And I had made him the Marry Me chicken tortellini the night before. That way he had dinner on Wednesday night and then all of the leftovers for the next day. And he was raving to LaDonna about it. And LaDonna looks at me and she said, will you make me that? Like, will you make that for supper tonight for us? Like the three of us, me, Gordy, and LaDonna. And I'm like, I've never, ever, ever cooked for anybody in my family because you guys know I don't know how to cook. I said, sure, because I've made it enough times now. I felt confident. So after we let out the bunny, we went to the grocery store, which she needed a few things, some brats for grandpa and whatever. But then I got all of the ingredients that I needed for the Marry Me chicken tortellini. And then, okay, let me not get ahead of myself. We go back home, we get the groceries. So that was going to be for supper, but this was like in the morning time. We're hanging out. Oh my gosh! I'm going to forget so many things. I pull up on Thursday. I walk into their house. LaDonna is wearing one of my Target tees. The Target $8 tees that you guys know I don't shut the fuck up about. She's wearing one. I saw it. I saw the neckline. I'm like, Grandma, is that from Target? And she goes, no, it's from Walmart. I said, bullshit. No, it's not. And she was like so determined that it was from Walmart. And I look at the tag and it's the same exact brand. So unless Walmart also has that brand, it's called A New Day. That's the brand. I'm like, no, these are at Target. And she's like, Brenna, it's my favorite shirt ever. I have two colors, a pink and a purple, like a deep purple. And she's like, but the purple one's in the wash because I wore it yesterday. I wear them all the time. I'm like, Grandma, they're at Target. I'm like, I have 100 of these shirts. So, okay, we go to the bunny, we go to the supermarket, we get home, and then we kind of started talking about it again. And I was wearing my red one. I was wearing my red Target tee. And I'm like, Grandma, I bet with all of the money in my pocket that there are more down at the Target. And she's like, do you want to go? And then we can look at the books. I'm like, yes. So me and LaDonna, we leave Gordy again, which he's fine. We set up his walkers and he's getting around pretty well. And honestly, I never saw him on his oxygen. My grandfather has COPD and he has an inhaler and he's never been on oxygen before, but since he broke his hip, obviously you need oxygen to like heal and get better. So he does have oxygen and he had been using it, but it's been a little over a month now since the surgery and since he broke his hip. So I never saw him use it. I think he uses it at night, which is really good. And honestly, he was getting around great. It was so sad to watch. And their house has stairs. So to get into the house, it's like maybe 4 steps, and a little landing. And every time he used it, like I know he's capable, but it just was so hard to watch. But all in all, he was doing great. Anyways, we leave him, we go to Target, we go to the t-shirt section, and I'm like, da 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 da. And LaDonna wears mediums because I told you guys, she's like 100 pounds. She's the tiniest little bitch you've ever seen, but she likes them to be a little bit looser. And so we were looking for mediums. She got a few smalls in the colors that didn't have mediums, but she got 6. She got all the colors that were there. Unfortunately, they didn't have a red, which is her favorite color, and it always has been. So I'm going to order that for her and send it to her house, a red one. But we go to Target, we get the tees, and then we go to the book section, and she would have gotten me a book, but I was like, Grandma, no, I don't need a book. But she bought Local Woman Missing. Is that what that's called? Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubina. I think you'll understand what I'm trying to say. She bought that and then she ended up starting it while I was there. And I came over one day and she's like, Brenna, it's so good. I think she's going to send it to me after she's done. And I gave her the books that I brought. I don't know if she'll read them. They kind of just sat there the whole time, which is fine. She had been finishing up that Jojo Myers book. But then, of course, every single day I'm like going through the books. She's giving me different books to look at. And she's like, take this, take this, take this. So I came home with 6 different books. Some of them I think are old older. I don't know if you guys would have heard of them. They're not these new trendy book talk books, which obviously LaDonna has no idea about any books that are trending because she's not on any sort of social media. Duh. However, we get back from Target, and then that evening I made them the Marry Me chicken and tortellini, and Gordy went back for seconds. And honestly, my grandpa is so picky, so they loved it. LaDonna raved about it, and I think she bought the groceries yesterday to make it herself. So I gave her the recipe. She wrote it down on a note card. Loved it. Like, they both could not shut the fuck up about it. Well, Gordy, he just got seconds. He didn't say a word about it. LaDonna just kept, she was like, oh my gosh, it's so good. And you know when people are like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, like kind of blowing smoke up your ass, I'm like, are you just saying that to make me feel good? Because we like it, but like, you don't have to like it. But apparently she loved it. Okay, we loved that. And then you guys, literally all day, besides those few little trips that we went on, we sat in the driveway. They have a house, okay? So you're looking at their lot, and to the right is their house. And it's just like a little, the upstairs is probably maybe 1,200 square feet, maybe a little bit bigger. There's 3 bedrooms, the living room and the kitchen, but it's an old house. Everything's like blocked off, you know, it's not super open like newer houses are. And then they have a downstairs, and the downstairs is just kind of like full of stuff. And nobody really goes down there except the laundry is down there. And we'll get into another topic. But anyways, basically we sat in the driveway. Oh, I was explaining the house. So to the right, okay, is the house. It's just like this little square house. And then on the left side is the driveway, and their garage is not attached. So you go up the driveway and you pass the house. So it's like a long driveway, right? And then the garage is in the back. So with Gordy not being able to get around, like, they have a backyard with the patio and stuff, but it's just too hard for him to get back there, or too inconvenient, I guess. But we've always just like sat in the driveway. So we put up chairs right by the opening of the garage. And so it's not like we're just sit there looking out at the front of the house, because it's pretty far back that it's like kind of a little hidden area back there. And we sit there and we chat and we have coffee, and that's all we do. And I love it so much. And then, okay, that was Thursday. We wake up Friday. I went on a walk. Okay, it was gorge. And then I go to LaDonna and Gordy's. We hang out. We go to Red Lobster. Okay, me and LaDonna love seafood. We love Chinese. We love crazy foods. We are not picky. Gordy, on the other hand, picky. But we convinced him to come with us. We're like, there's fish and chips, or like, surely they'll have like chicken critters or chicken tenders or something. And he ended up coming with. LaDonna's like, I think it'd be good for you to get out of the house. Obviously, it's such a bitch to like bring the walker. It actually is not that bad, but I understand, like, he doesn't want to hold anybody up. And you know how old people are, they're so stubborn. So they don't want to like, you know, need all of this help or whatever. But we convinced him to come. So we go to Red Lobster. I got crab legs. I love crab legs. I don't know what they got. And then we went on a little cruise, okay? They showed me this new high school that was built, which is like just such old people things. They're like, oh, check out this. That's changed since you were gone. And then Gordy's like, let's go take her to the Veterans Park that was just built. So we go to the east side of town, and there was like this little park. It's like a kid park, but they have this little memorial section with a huge plaque, and it was about veterans from North Dakota that died in service, which is so sad. And it had little autobiographies, just like a little blurb about them. And both of my grandpas were in the Army, and Gordy was going to be in the Vietnam War. However, 4 of his brothers enlisted. So Gordy is in oh my gosh, you guys, my mind is moving so fast, I can't even like think. There were 11 siblings. One passed, the youngest, when he was 20. So Bradley, I obviously never knew. Like, my grandpa must have been like 30 or at this time, maybe, yeah, probably 30. But there were 11 total. 4 of the brothers enlisted. Okay, they were in the Army. And this is actually so crazy. My grandpa has a brother, Kenneth, who I think is like 11 months older than him. So they're like right back to back in age. And Kenneth enlisted. He got sent away. Or maybe they went out at the same time, but you don't know where you're going, right? Way back in this day. And my grandpa was 19 years old at the time. He gets down to El Paso, where like his basic training was, or whatever it's called. Honestly, I'm probably fucking this up, but I'm going to do the best I can. he got sent away, whatever. This process, I'm sure, takes a lot of time. You go to certain places. He runs into his brother Kenneth where he was stationed, and they're in like the same unit. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine being 19 years old? You're serving in the army. You're like learning, you're just kind of flying by the seat of your pants. You're going to go overseas to fight a war, and he runs into his brother Kenneth. I just like can't even imagine. And they were about to ship my grandpa over to Vietnam, but Wayne and I'm not sure which other brother were already over there, and they realized that, and they're like, oh my gosh, we can't send all four of this family, the same, family over. So my grandpa and Kenneth never got sent over, only because they had two other brothers that were stationed in Vietnam. And so my grandpa, I think, was in the army. He was down there for like a year, maybe 2 years. And every single check that him and Kenneth got from the army, they sent back home to their mom, because their mother, you guys, Evelyn, was apparently an incredible lady. I obviously didn't get to meet her. So my great grandma, she had 11 children with my grandpa's dad. So it was all of the same husband, but he was, I think, an alcoholic, and I think drugs were involved. He left her. Okay. Had these 11 kids. I think he left her when a lot of them were still very young. Okay. When my grandfather was in the 7th grade, he got shipped to like a farm, a 7th grader. Okay. He's like 12, a farm nearby to work and make money for his mother. His oldest sister, Gloria, dropped out of high school to take care of the younger kids when the dad left. Like crazy, crazy, crazy childhood. And then, so when Kenneth and Gordy, my grandpa, were in the army, every check they got, they sent home to their mom to help her, because she was raising, at this point, probably 6 kids, which is still a fuck ton, right? And just crazy. I can't even imagine a life like that. LaDonna, you guys, LaDonna, there were 7 of them. She was raised in a house, a 1-bedroom house. Okay. Her mom, her dad, and 7 children. And they worked so hard, but they had no running water, no phone. Okay. They lived in the middle of nowhere on a farm. Okay. Outside of a town with probably 200 people. LaDonna had also a tough go. And another thing I learned about LaDonna, this is one of the things about going home in my older age, like they talk about things more, and maybe it's me who finally asks questions, but I do feel like when you're younger, they kind of shield you from certain things, which this is not anything that would have affected me, but LaDonna and her sisters weren't allowed to get their driver's license. Like their dad, I think, was just crazy and wouldn't let them for whatever reason, if he didn't believe in fucking women's rights. I don't know. It was a different time period. And so, for example, LaDonna got married at 18 years old just to get out of her house. LaDonna got married. She still didn't have a driver's license. She got her driver's license after she got married, which is insane. Okay. And she was telling me, so her and her 5 siblings were in one room in that bedroom. So like 2 of them shared a bed. The other 2 shared a bed. And then there was one for Mary Lou. Mary Lou was the oldest, but she's like, Brenna, when Mary Lou was in high school, she would go on dates and she would come back and all of us kids would be sitting there. And then she would debrief with our younger siblings, her dates, but they all like lived in the same room. She said her dad or mom or parents, I guess, put up a sheet in the room, and Mary Lou's bed was behind that to give her privacy because she was like in high school. But then there were these 2 other beds with the other kids. And then the 2 younger ones, because there were 7, were in the room or the family room or wherever her parents slept. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just so crazy. Obviously, it was a different time, but I just can't even imagine that. Oh my gosh. Anyways, both of them had crazy, crazy, crazy upbringings. However, okay, my grandpa's mom ended up getting married to like this farmer bachelor when they were like in their 40s or 50s. I think 5 of the kids still lived at home, but 6 of them were out when they did get married. And then they were together for the rest of their life. And they say wonderful things. Like, I think they consider this man their dad. Like, they don't ever talk about their real dad. Like I've never heard anything about him other than what I know. He left the family and then he died somewhere in a hotel room, I think due to drugs or alcohol. But anyways, I just think it's so crazy. And like both of my grandpas obviously fought in the war, which is like such a just, I don't think we really understand. Like they were 19 years old. Like they were so young getting sent off to war. And my grandpa actually he was in the Korean War, which the Korean War is often forgotten about. Oh my gosh, do you guys give a shit about this stuff? I am so sorry. I just find it so fascinating. And I also learned, oh my gosh. Okay, you guys, sorry if you don't like this conversation. My grandma Panko. So we've got my dad's real mother. And I never talk about her. I haven't seen her in a while. She's a little off her rocker, and she's been off her rocker my whole entire life, okay? I think she does have some mental disorders, but her and my dad had a really tough relationship. So he would take us to see her when we were young, but in our adult life, like, I don't know the last time he's seen her, and she's just a little bit crazy, okay? But besides that, her father... So my dad's grandpa on that side, right? He fought in World War II, okay? He was in a fighter plane. His role in the army was to shoot the guns in the fighter plane. So there's like the planes, you know, they have pilots, and he was down below where the guns are, like shooting. His plane got shot down, okay, in enemy lines, in enemy territory. This is World War II. He was captured by the Nazis, okay, and put in a concentration camp. What they ate at these concentration camps were potato skins, like the outside of the potatoes, the part that they didn't eat, and water. And I don't remember how long he was there, but he got let go. So once the war was over, he was released. He was never killed or anything. Sorry, this is like kind of dark, but it's just history, I guess. And he came back to Watford City and lived a life, whatever he, lived on. I don't know how old, but he said that they had a feast. My dad was telling me this story when he got back. How crazy is that? Actually, you guys, while we're on the topic, Carter's grandpa, who is still alive, he's 90. Okay. I think they're from Hungary. I think they're Hungarian. And I know for sure the grandma is. I think the grandpa is as well. When he was a kid, and he still lived over there, so they didn't come overseas until they were like in their late teens, maybe early 20s, his house was occupied by Nazis. Like they came in and took over, and that's where they lived. Like literally Carter's grandfather that I've met, okay, when he was a kid, Nazis lived in his home. This is why sometimes I have such a big problem with people in today's day and age, like all of the people that hate America. Okay, I can't have that. I will not listen to that, because what a fucking crazy privileged thing to say. Like, of course, America is not perfect, but we live in a time and a place where our grandparents and people beyond, like, they could not fathom, like, the things, the freedom that we have, the safety, like, oh, and at that Veterans Park that we went to, like, on the plaques, it said freedom isn't free, and 100% right. Like, oh my gosh, I just cannot imagine. Like, my grandpa George was in the Korean War, and I don't remember exactly what he did. He's passed about 8 years ago, which I saw my grandmother. Oh my gosh, you guys. Okay. Well, this might be really long, and I hope you guys are still here. But like, my grandfather on my mom's side fought in the Korean War. Like, they were in war. Like, when I watch history videos, like, those were real people, and no shit, Brenna. But like, I don't think we really think about that. And I would be scared out of my fucking mind. Okay? I'm sorry. I'll be done talking about war and things that you probably don't care about. I was just thinking about how all of my channel is just like 20. Well, obviously my demographic is like late teens to honestly 50, 60-year-old women. Like, they're all women here. And I'm like, you guys don't really want to listen to that. Okay. Anyway, so Friday we went to Red Lobster. We go, and Gordy tells me, okay, that a while ago, before he broke his hip, he met with a guy, he consulted with a man about a home, okay? And he got floor plans because, like I told you, LaDonna and Gordy's house, not only do you have to take stairs to get into their house, they have a downstairs and the washer and dryer's down there. And yes, LaDonna can move around now, but it'd be so ideal if they were just on one floor. So there are these things called patio homes, and he's all about it, okay? But LaDonna, I think, number one, change. Nobody likes change, especially at that age. I think it probably is daunting and overwhelming to her. And also, she has a lot of stuff. Like, they have 3 bedrooms upstairs. So their bedroom, and then there's like a guest bedroom, and then there's her craft room. And then downstairs, there's a huge living room. There's 2 bedrooms that just have like, well, think about it. They're 70, almost 80 years old. Like, all of the stuff they've accumulated, all of LaDonna's books, games, jars, like tables, just like random things, you know, that she's acquired over the years. And I get it, but honestly, they could get a storage unit. And I didn't really press her. I had like individual conversations with them. Like, Gordy's telling me his side and I'm like, I'm there. And then LaDonna's telling me hers. She's like, Gordy came home with these floor plans and I don't want to move. And I'm like, I get it. Obviously, it won't happen now that he broke his hip. Like, they got to get out of this, but honestly, I think it'd be really good for them. But where this park was where like this new development is. So he was kind of also trying to show me, you know, and LaDonna wasn't really saying anything. She was in the back seat. But anyways, we go back home, and then Friday night we had the leftovers from the chicken tortellini, and we just sat in the driveway and chit chatted. And then we wake up Saturday. I wake up, I go on a little walk, and I go to LaDonna and Gordy's for coffee and breakfast, and then I hit the road. Lauren FaceTimes me, my cousin, and Emily's face pops up, which is the youngest. So Emily just turned 3. And she said, are you here yet? And I said, oh my gosh, I haven't left. And it's like a 2.5, 3-hour drive. But then Lauren also popped on and she said, just so you know, and she was like already tearing up. And I was like, oh no, what's going on? They didn't put him down. One of their dogs had passed the night before, their chocolate lab, who's like 13 years old, okay? And if you guys aren't familiar with like farm life, like these dogs live outside. Obviously, like they love them like any other dog, but they have 3. So they have Rue, who is like a 2-year-old golden retriever. They have Charlie, who's like an 11-year-old golden retriever, and she had 3 litters. She had 33 pups, 10 in the first litter, 11 in the second, and 12 in the third. So she's lived a long, full life, and honestly, she's so aged. And then they had Moxie, which was like their first dog together, 13 years. Oh, Lauren and Zyler. Okay, so my cousin Lauren and obviously her husband Zyler, they've been together since sophomore year of high school, and they're 30 now. So yeah, I guess they've been together for so long. But anyway, she's like, just so you know, the vibes are a little somber here. She's like crying. Obviously, she lost her dog. They came home and their sweet, sweet chocolate lab had passed. But honestly, I talked to Carter on the way up there and he's like, I hope it's okay. And I'm like, no, it'll be so good. Like, I'll be a distraction. And the kids don't really, I think, understand it quite yet, you know, but obviously Lauren was upset. And so anyways, I leave Bismarck at like 12. I get into Leeds at about 3 p.m. and the kids, I was so happy to see them. They live on this huge plot of land. If you saw my Instagram story, I kind of showed, again, I wasn't on my phone at all. I got a few photos with the kids because Lauren, she likes to take photos, obviously. As like a mom, you just like document, and I only see them so much. So we try and get photos every time. So I have a few photos with the kids, but I'm not going to post them just because they're not my kids and I don't want to be blasting their information everywhere. But Emily is 3, Oliver is 5, or Eli is 5, and then Oliver is 7, okay? And Oliver and Emily are my godchildren, which I love them all the same, obviously. And honestly, Eli is so sweet. Like with his little sister, he was like, Em, are you okay? Or like, Em, do you need a cracker? Or like, he's always making sure she's okay. But we spent that evening going up to the farm to see my 90-year-old grandmother. Okay, so this is my mom's mom. And, you know, she has a tough time getting around. She's got her walkers as well. She's broken her hips like 3 different times. This woman has had breast cancer. She's been through it and she is thriving, okay? She's all there. Like mentally, she's doing great. But we go, the kids pull out all the toys, we're catching up, and then we went into town, or into Eggland, which is like a tiny fucking town, like 4 streets, and we have dinner. And it was honestly so loud in there because in these tiny little towns, the only restaurants they have are the bars. So you just have a burger and whatever. But our grandma wanted wanted to treat us. And it was so good to see her because obviously at 90 years old, you never know when the last time is, which, sorry, dark and morbid, but that's just like kind of where your brain goes, obviously. And then we drive back into town. And while we were leaving, we ran into one of my uncles. So my mom's the youngest of 11 as well. So I have a million aunts and uncles, but Brent was baling some, honestly, I don't actually know what he was doing, but he was on the side of the road and working on the grass or the hay or something with a big machinery. I think he was like, I don't honestly know, but his machine was broke. He was trying to fix it. So he's like, on your way back, can you guys grab me a drink? Like, I'm thirsty out here, but he didn't want to run to the house because he was like pretty far down the driveway now. And the driveway is like a mile long. And so, of course, so we run into town. I went in, I got him like a root beer and a water. And then the kids wanted to play at the park. So we parked. That way grandma didn't have to get out of the vehicle and then watch the kids play. And then we get back. Oh my gosh. So we drop off the drinks. We pass Brent again on the road. We give him the drinks. We're going back. Okay. And we told the kids to just stay. It was like 9 p.m. at this point. We're just going to run grandma in the house. So we're helping grandma out of the car. I'm standing there. Lauren is doing more of the work to like hold on to her because I'm just not super familiar and I would hate to like not be able to help her correctly, and she falls, obviously. Well, she's getting out and I'm standing there and her cane lands on my foot and I'm wearing my Birkenstocks, okay? Her cane is on my foot, but I can't move it because then it's gonna pull her cane and she's gonna fall. So she's using she has no idea. She has no idea. Lauren's looking at me. She's laughing so hard, but you know how old people are. They aren't super aware. So she's getting out of the car and like, ah! She's pushing on my foot. Finally, she gets down, but there's nothing I could do. I can be like, grandma, like she's already trying to get out of the vehicle. Oh my gosh. So then, you guys, they built her a ramp in the front of the house, but she never uses it. Again, these old people, they're stubborn. They're prideful. She doesn't want to use it. So there's like a few steps in the garage to get into the house. So that's what we're using. So we help her up the steps. You kind of like push her butt a little bit. Okay. We get her in the house. We're like, okay, grandma, let's get you comfy. We're walking in, right? It's a long hallway. She sees cookies on the counter. She said, oh my God, the kid needs cookies. I said, I'll take them out, grandma. She said, no, I want to give them to her. Okay. So now we're turning back around. We're going back down the stairs. And of course, this isn't like a quick little thing. It's grandma, 90-year-old grandma. Okay, we're going back down the stairs. We walk her all the way to the car. She passes out the cookies. We're like, okay, let's go back inside. We walk back inside. We're up the steps. We're through the house. We're like, let's sit you down. Okay, we got her coffee. We got her a cookie. We turned on the twins. We're like, perfect. Okay, she's sitting there. And then we got to say our goodbyes. So I'm like, okay, grandma. And I was just going to lean down. She stands up. She's like, well, I got to wave goodbye to the kids. Oh my God. Okay, so I give her a hug. I say, Great. We walk back down. We go down the stairs. She waves to the kids. They're not even paying attention. And then I got to help her back up the stairs. But this time we pulled the walker over. But I'm like, oh my gosh, we were trying to get her comfy in her seat because I would hate for her to fall. Nobody was at the house. We were trying to make sure she was like in one place. She's like, I'm good. Everybody thinks I need all this help and I don't need help. We're like, okay, grandma, sure. Anyways, we push her back up the stairs and she's got her walker and we leave. I said, oh my God, that stresses me out. Like seeing them move, even Gordy, I'm like, oh, you want to help? But then like, it's so hard, but she's doing great, you guys. And it was so good to see her. And she's having me show so many photos of me and Carter and Maydog. And we're going through the things. And she said, he's so handsome. She said, hopefully I get to meet him before I go. I said, okay, grandma, love you. And I don't know, honestly, with Carter starting work, being a first year attorney, like we have no idea what his schedule is going to be like. I don't know if that's going to happen, which is sad, but I tell her what she wants to hear. I'm like, yep, grandma, like, of course I want to try and get him up there, but I just don't know what our near future looks like, obviously. Okay, we go back home and then you guys, we get home. Lauren puts the kids to bed and they have TVs where there are timers, right? So the TV stays on for like 15 minutes. So she comes back upstairs. I'm sleeping downstairs, but I wanted to wait for her. She's like, okay, I usually just like sit here and wait until the TVs turn off and wait a few minutes. That way none of them come up because sure enough, 5 minutes later, here's Emily up the stairs. She said, Mom. Lauren said, back down. Go to bed. You know how little kids are. So we start just like chatting, obviously upstairs on the couch. all of the sudden, you guys, because we never get to catch up. Like, she's obviously always with her kids, which duh, but we're always around them. So like girl to girl chat, like we used to, just about life and about finances and about marriage and about me and Carter. Like, we can talk about these things obviously in front of the kids, but just like that one-on-one time, when you haven't seen your friend in a long time, or maybe you have a cousin like this, like you just never get those moments. We're sitting there, we're chatting, whatever. And I'm like, Lauren, what time is it? Like, I could feel myself getting tired. 1 a.m. The timers on the TVs were supposed to turn off at like 10, and they did, but we were up until 1 a.m. just gabbing away. Oh my gosh, but it was just what I needed. It just filled my soul. It was amazing. But I'm like, oh my God, Lauren, I have not stayed up till 1 a.m. literally in years. So I'm like, I'm going to bed. Love you so much. And like the conversation was dying down, obviously. So we go to bed, we wake up the next day. The kids slowly but surely wake up, they get their cereal, and then we're on the trampoline. And then we've got the bikes out, and then we're on the gravel road, and then we've got the four-wheeler out, and then we're taking out the horses. Oh my gosh, they have so much to do, and how wonderful. Like, there are obviously pros and cons to living out in the middle of goddamn nowhere. I couldn't do it. And that's just my personal preference. And obviously, like, the education in a small town like that, like, and the things that you're just exposed to, like, everybody there is the same. They're all small town, small-minded people, but they get to like experience like so many other things that like I never will. Like, we will never have probably that much land. Like, in a big city, that's just not even a thing. They have like acres of land. They have horses, they have goats, they have kitties, they have dogs, they have cows. Like, it's so cool. And the kids are like not mature, I would say, because they're so young, but like they have no fear. Like, they're just bopping around. It's just so cool. And Lauren is such a great mom. Like, when she says no, they listen. No whining, no crying. Like, what she says go. I'm like, oh my gosh, what she says goes. You guys, I'm talking faster than I can even think. I'm sure you can realize that as you're listening. And it was just so good to see, because not to shame anybody, but kids that I've been around whine and don't ever hear no. And it was so refreshing. Like, she's like, nope. And they're better kids because of it. Like, you need to obviously, and it's easier said than done. I'm not a mom, so not to shame anybody. Okay, I know, oh my gosh, now I'm a mom shamer. But like, the kids are better off when they're disciplined. Like, I think you need to have authority over your kids. This whole like gentle parenting, no offense. Like, I get it. There is a happy medium, because our childhoods, and especially our parents, like, no crying, like they were psychotic, right? But I think there's a happy medium. Like, yes, your feelings are heard and seen and loved, but like also you need to tell your kids no. Okay, they're going to be better people because of it, Okay, that's a little rant on that, but she is so good. And the kids are so good. Like, they don't cry, they don't whine. Mom says no, mom says no, they find something else to do or what have you, And that was so nice. So then we ended up going to my aunt's, Lauren's mother's. We had lunch. The kids had their little pool there. I saw both of my other cousins, Lauren's siblings, the boys, Tony and Alex. And yeah, it was just so great. Like, again, I haven't had this much time, number one with Lauren, but even with the kids, because every time I come home, it's the holidays. There's so much going on. They live 3 hours away, so I never get up there. So it was just so nice. And the weather, you guys, compared to Dallas, there was like a crispness in the air. I'm like, oh, this is dreamy. I'm honestly so excited to go to Montana next month with Carter. Oh, that's going to be so nice. They live on the water, with the jet skis and the boat. We're going to have such a great time. And the weather, except for the goddamn mosquitoes, that I do not miss. Oh my gosh, I've had more mosquito bites in the past week than I've had in my life in the last 10 years, but that is that. Anyways, that was Sunday. Monday, we wake up, we have another morning, have our coffee, play with the kids, they have breakfast. And then when Emily went down for a nap, I left. Okay. And so I drive back home, and then I get to my dad's. I had sloppy joes with my father and his girlfriend. We sit up, whatever. I wake up Tuesday, I go back to LaDonna and Gordy's. And you guys know that my relationship with my mother is a little bit complicated, as she lives a very different life than I do. And my mother is a beer drinker. She again, I wanted to talk about this, but now that I'm here, I don't think I'm going to, because if I ever said anything that hurt my mom's feelings, I would just feel so bad. We just make different life choices, and that is all I'm going to say about that. And when she drinks, she gets emotional and she gets a little bit crazy. And when I flew in, I forgot to tell her my plans, and she was very upset with me, but she wasn't saying this to me. She was telling my aunt, who then relayed the message. And so I was really nervous to meet up with her. But of course, then when she sees me, she acts like nothing is wrong. But again, I think the alcohol alters her feelings and how she reacts. And that's all I'm going to say on that. But so Tuesday night, I spent the whole day with LaDonna and Gordy. And then Tuesday night, I met up with my mom and her boyfriend at a bar to eat. And we got dinner. And then I reserved all of Wednesday for my mom, the morning. And then we were going to go to the bank and then get lunch or breakfast or whatever. And then she was going to drop me at the airport at 2. Well, she comes into town at 12:45. She slept in because her and her boyfriend were up until 7 in the morning. Okay, Brenna, you need to shut the fuck up. I digress. And she came in, we went to the bank, she dropped me off. We didn't even get lunch. And she complains that she never sees me and gets time with me, and I spend time with everybody else. But then that's the treatment that I receive. And that's all I'm going to say on that. But it was fine and it was good. And the moments that I got with her, the dinner, it was good. We got to chat. We got to catch up. It was what it was. She dropped me at the airport and then I got home. And now I'm here. Okay, let's talk about the upcoming week. I got invited to a Sunday Riley. Okay, those are kind of similar, but not. Sunday Riley Masterclass. I'm going to post it on my Instagram story, I'm sure, on Monday when this comes out. So I got invited to a little event. They emailed me, and then they have a cocktail hour on Tuesday at a restaurant, which I'm probably not going to go to because that's like my least favorite thing in the world. 7 to 9, drinking, not my thing, but I'm still deciding. I can have a +1, so I could ask my friend. Okay, I have a call tomorrow, which obviously is Friday. So by the time you're hearing this, it will be passed with a management team, just like an intro call. So we'll see how that goes. And I really am just getting this house in order because Carter takes the bar on July 30th and 31st. So when this episode comes out, a week from today, essentially, like a week from the Tuesday, which is tomorrow if you're listening to this on Monday. So I'm getting the laundry done. I'm cooking good meals, healthy meals, so his brain is functioning. Maydog cannot sleep in the bed anymore because we need good sleep. And Carter, honestly, like last night when I saw him, he doesn't seem that stressed yet. Like I was yapping the fuck away about my time at home and he was like listening, and we talked about so many things because obviously with my grandma and my dad's girlfriend, we've talked about just like our relationship and the family dynamics and me and my mom's relationship. And every time, like, I just learn more things about myself and my family. And I love to talk to Carter about that. And then we can have conversations about like, if we're in this situation, like talking to Lauren about her and her 3 kids and how they raise them, with Zyler being busy in the fields all day. Like it was so nice. And communication is key. Okay, Brenna, shut the fuck up for once in your life. I just loved it. So we had a lot of good conversations just about this, that, and the other. And anyways, Carter's hunkering down and I got to see my friends this weekend. I have not seen my 2 girlfriends here in so long. Okay, it's been so fucking long. So I'm going to see both of them this weekend. And yeah, I think that's all I have for you guys. I'm sorry this was go, 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 go. I have a lot of things to do. I'm not going to get into that. I love you guys. I just wanted to catch up. Next week will be more organized. I don't know what the topic is going to be yet, but I just wanted to sit down, catch up on the week. That is all I have. Oh my gosh, you guys, my brain. Do you guys think I have ADHD? Be honest. Be so fucking for real. I think there's something because I just go, and I forget things. And then I mention the most random things and I'm all over the place in my mind, but it works and I'm thriving, and I would never go get myself diagnosed because I love who I am and I love the way I operate. But anyways, that is all I have. I will see you next week, you guys. I'm going to post on Instagram and ask you guys what you want to talk about, and we'll be back in gear and we'll be catching up the week to week. And I can't wait. I love you guys so much. I hope you have the best week. And I'll see you next Monday. Okay, bye guys.